existence.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining me on this YouTube live stream. It's a beautiful day here in Oregon. The sun's out. It's starting to cool off a little bit, so pretty thankful for that. But what I'm really happy about is getting to talk with you guys about kind of the dirty business of post-production. Audio post-production is my background, and I'll definitely be, focused on that angle because that's where I come from. But really, you can apply what we're going to talk about today to pretty much any business, especially any kind of film production type of, post-production, anything creative in the entertainment industry. You'll be able to apply these topics to, these tips, kind of like ideas to think about. So the cool thing about my channel is we have a pretty wide range of professionals and students and people who want to become professionals, maybe people who do post-production as like a hobby or a side hustle. And so I'm trying with my content this year to really cover all those bases. So if at any time during the stream or the replay you have questions, just feel free to type out your comment either in the chat or in the comments. And I try my best to answer the ones that are, that are questions, not just like, hey, thanks for doing this or something. But if people are like, hey, what about this? I try really hard to answer that both live and then after the live stream is uploaded and turns into a video, in the YouTube comments. So definitely feel free to chime in. And we're going to cover quite a bit. And it's going to be a little dry, but I think it's really worth talking about because you want to get out of the mindset of owning a job. And a lot of small businesses end up becoming just jobs that you own. They're not really a self-sustaining business. So I struggle with that. And it's something I'm trying to do better at. And just the couple of things I've learned, not that I'm an expert at, make a full-time living doing audio post-production, able to support my family with it, able to save some money and reinvest in the business. So I figure that's one of the things that people will talk about plugins and how to do this, but the nitty-gritty financial side of things, I think it's worth talking about. So before we get to that, and I have my second camera up. That's good. Just a quick shout out to our channel members. You guys are really what keeps this boat afloat. And channel members, if you click join and you join as a member of my YouTube channel, you get access to this Discord, and you also get like some other stuff. It's not really swag, but like other stuff. You'll learn when you join. You get discounts on things and stuff like that. So we have some questions and answers. There's really been really good discussion about sound flow and hardware and a little bit about the financial side of the business. So that's kind of what sparked my thought is like, oh yeah, these guys are talking about, how to find work and how much to charge. And I've talked about it a little bit, but we're going to be talking about it quite a bit more today. So that's that. I probably should also, I need to open up this because I've got, give me 1 second to bring this up. Oh gosh, I had it. I'm supposed to have it open so that it's easier for me, and I didn't do that. So Cedar is sort of not really a sponsor. They've given me an affiliate link. I guess you could say they're sort of a sponsor. I've been using Cedar DNS1 for a long time, and they've recently dropped their prices. Best broadband noise reduction, I would say on the market, real-time broadband noise reduction on the market. It's been a part of my template for years, and it's been used on pretty much every blockbuster since like the early 2000s. So if you're looking for a great noise reduction plugin, I've got an affiliate link that you can use. It gives me a tiny bit of money and supports Cedar. They're not, I guess they're kind of a mom and pop company. Anytime I've had a support issue, I've just like emailed them and they've gotten back to me. So it is kind of nice dealing with that versus, not going to name names, but some of the other plugin makers who are like, you know, they never get back to you. So that's that spiel. Let's dig into business. How to make money in audio post. Like I said, you could easily apply this to film production, commercial production, social media, content creation in a local market, video editing, remote video editing, composing for picture. I mean, you could really kind of apply this to any business. This is not like specific to audio post. But like I said, that's my background. So we're going to frame it with that. Okay. So let me just go through the chat real quick and see. Kevin is actually able to make it to a live stream, which is awesome. That is great. Super happy about that. Kevin Broman is a he is a re-recording mixer. He's also a production sound mixer. So I have a lot of respect for him. And we've got Simon, which I'm sorry, Simon, my French is terrible. Brandon, Mike, and that's it for now. So yeah, it looks like people are interested. Kevin says it feels like other freelancers guard their pricing more than their actual workflow secrets. Paul Cruz says, you know, one thing I would like to see you mix and design for a TV ad. I've done TV ads, Paul. I don't really enjoy them because there's usually so many notes and so many so many chefs in the kitchen, or so many spoons in the pot is another analogy for it. There's a lot of hands-on commercials and they fight over what sounds good and what they want it to sound like. And the money can be okay, but it's not really worth it because they just grind you into the dust. It's really rough. We got Chase. Chase has joined us. So yeah. Okay. So how to make money in audio post. So we're going to talk about pricing, profit, and freelance survival. It's kind of the skeleton of this. So why does this matter? Great skills don't equal profit. So you can be the best, quote unquote, best at your job, best dialogue editor, best sound effects editor. Newsflash, you're not. You might think you are, but that's generally not true. There's always somebody better than you. But just because you're the best or you're really good, it doesn't mean that you're going to be able to make money. In fact, some of the people that I know who are the very best at, or not the very best, they're really good in their field. Some of them struggle with the financial side. They're not able to put on their business cap and approach what we do, which is kind of artistic, with a financial accounting mindset or a business manager or CFO mindset, where it's like, no, this needs to be profitable. So great skills do not equal profit. A lot of people undercharge. I've seen this, it happens in any business, concrete, construction, haircuts, like people just, the pricing is very difficult for them to figure out. So people undercharge and there's the race to the bottom. So that's a big thing. And this is going to vary based on your market. And Carl is watching with a broken ankle. I'm sorry, Carl. Carl, I hope your ankle heals. I know it's tough. As I get older, it takes me longer to heal from stuff like that, but we're praying for you and we wish you the best. So business skills equals sustainability. This is a skill just like dialogue editing chops or re-recording mixer chops. I mean, color, whatever, like whatever you do, those skills do not equal business skills, and you need to have business skills in order to make a sustainable business. And what do I mean by sustainable? I mean, sorry, I got to drink coffee. This cup, by the way, this is like my coffee cup, and it's got a huge bottom. It reminds me of the Raktajino cups from Deep Space Nine. You cannot spill this cup. Anyway, so business skills they don't come with creative skills or technical skills. They're a separate set of muscles that you have to develop. Just like you don't skip leg day at the gym. You gotta do squats. You gotta do leg press. You can't just go for biceps all the time. So sharpen those business skills. And this, what we're going to talk about, is a good primer, but it goes a lot deeper than that. Okay, here we go. Got some good questions. Any good strategies to undercut the competition but not undercut yourself? We'll talk about that in a little bit, Mike. In fact, let me add that. I had growth strategies. We'll do this. So we'll talk about starting point, pricing aggressively. And that's, sorry, I'm terrible at spelling stuff. It seems like as technology gets better, my writing and typing skills get worse. Okay. So, and we got Tiziano. Tiziano, I think you're Italian, right? That looks like an Italian name, but let me know if it's not. Okay, pricing models. So pricing is a huge part. It's really, money is the gas for your engine in a business, or it's the food for your tummy if you want to use a human analogy. So you have to really do research, and you have to know like your market that you're in and what the competition. Decide if you're going to do hourly or flat rate. Are you going to do work by the hour and have people value your labor, or are you going to have flat or project rates and have them value the finished product? And if you're watching this live, tell me what you think is better, hourly or flat rate. I'll tell you kind of my thoughts on the pluses and minuses of each. So I've worked in the trades a little bit, and I like the trades. I like working with my hands. I like doing framing and concrete and roofing to a certain extent. And a lot of my friends work in the trades. The ones that make good money don't charge hourly. They charge project rates or flat rates. A guy's going to come look at your house and say, it's going to be about $3,500, whatever it is. Could be a roof repair or something. They're not going to say, well, my rate's $150 an hour. They're going to say, here's what it's going to cost you. The reason for that is profit. If you are charging an hourly rate, that rate really needs to be pretty high for you to make a profit. When you subtract all of your expenses and taxes and cost of doing business, which we'll get to, the hourly rate is going to have to be pretty high, like $100, $125 an hour to make an actual profit. Versus a flat rate, which is, hey, here's the job. Here's how much this job will cost you. My profit is factored into that rate. So I know I can make a profit. The customer knows what they're getting. Everybody's happy. Versus an hourly rate, which sounds great, but then you get into the rounds of notes on a project or changes that the client has or difficulties you might come up against. And now, you're working more hours and you're making more money, but the client is just seeing the costs go up and up and up. So sometimes, like on short projects, maybe you're only going to work on it for a day or a couple hours. Maybe an hourly makes sense, especially if you don't know the client, because it will limit their requests of you. At a certain point, they're going to run out of money and they're going to say, we're good. Let me pay you. We're done. Versus a flat project where they can just keep changing stuff. But I find that more experience equals more flat rate projects. And somebody said that if you're just starting out, Mr. Nelson says, welcome, by the way, Mr. Nelson. If you're just starting out, flat rate. I would say the opposite. I would say if you're just starting out, do hourly. And then as you get more experience, switch to flat rate, because you can make more profit. Like me, if I'm going to mix, say, a short film, and somebody just asked me for a quote on a short, and I said, for me to do what I want on this and do 100% and be happy with my work, it's going to cost $3,000. And they didn't ask how many hours it would take me. It's just, here's what it's going to cost. So I've had one short say, sure, let's go for it. You know, it's a little expensive, but I know you're going to do a good job. And the other short was like, you know what, that's too rich for my blood. Let me handle this myself. Cool. That's great. You know, the nice thing too about doing that is it puts a value on your service that is high enough where when they have something really good, really worth your time, they're going to bring it to you. If you do value-based pricing, you're going to be the cheap guy or cheap gal, and you don't want that. You want to be the high quality, worth what they're charging person, not the handy Andy, as they say in the trades. So there's a pitfall, which is exposure gigs. I'll give you a professional's tip on this. You can't pay your rent with exposure. You can't buy groceries with exposure. You can't put exposure in your gas tank. You can't IRS is not going to accept exposure to pay your quarterly taxes. The exposure gigs are a waste of your time. Anybody who has something worth your time is going to pay you for your time. So stay away from those. Stay away from the exposure gigs. All right, industry benchmarks. So we're going to talk, this is going to be based on perspective, which is United States. It is indie, but also some union high-level work. So this is like quality work. This is not cheap bargain, you know, great value brand work. This person knows what they're doing, and I'm going to pay them accordingly. So I am going to do some ranges here because it's good. Like if you're starting out, you're not going to be able to charge a professional rate, but there's kind of some like bottom barrel rates. I would say $40 an hour to $75 an hour. Once you're up to like 65, 75, that's the union scale for dialogue. And for podcast, keep in mind, a lot of this stuff can be outsourced. It's getting outsourced to Bangladesh and India and Guinea and Finland, whatever. It's going outside of the US and the UK and Australia. And some of those places have very low cost of living, so they're going to charge a lot less. So for podcast posts, I would say probably 25 to, I've gotten up to $100 an hour for that. Indie film mix, these are usually day rates. I would say 400 to 1,200. Commercial spot, I've done them as low as 500, but these can go up to like 25,000. We'll just do a K. Depending on like, you know, how much sound design, and maybe you'll do music too, and then it could be even more like 50. So pretty wide range for these. For mixing, mixing is going to be the most because this takes the most experience, the most equipment. Editing, we'll call this dialogue and sound effects editing. Editing, like you really just need headphones and a laptop, and that's it. So those are some benchmarks. I would say some scales. This is USA, United States of America, with a full-time freelancer, somebody who's making a full-time living at this, not somebody who's moonlighting, but somebody who is a skilled professional. These lower ends, are going to be for people, maybe you've been out of school for a couple years, 2-3 years, you don't quite have the credits to back up the bigger rates. So it's compared to the exposure side of things, like don't take gigs for exposure, do take gigs for low rates if you're just starting out, because what those people are doing, they're not paying you what maybe is a fair rate or what you think your time is worth. But if you don't have experience, they are paying you to learn. They're paying you. It's like a college paying you to learn. just eat them up. Early in your career, take everything that pays. I took stuff that was, $125 a day when I first started out. Granted, that was almost 20 years ago, but I took those because I knew every job I do gets me more experience. And it's like just climbing that ladder one rung at a time. So start at the bottom and work your way up. We've got a couple of comments, questions here. Simon says it's all about relationship. Yes, that is true. One thing I can tell you is promote yourself as much as possible. Tell everyone what you do. Yeah, that's good. Chase says, I struggle with this as a live gigging musician. A lot of folks out there who are willing to play for nothing or next to it, and then we pros get laughed at. Yes, that's why I stopped playing in bands. Because we do a gig, it'd be like 3 hours and I'd get $50. So I think there's less of that in post-production because it's really a skill. And there's the discussion with musicians is like, well, you love this. This is your hobby. It's a passion. So just do it for free. We'll give you a couple beers or whatever. We'll promote you. We'll put a flyer. You can sell merch. That's fine. But we're not going to pay you. And those are the worst gigs. So yeah, it's tough. As a live musician, it's really tough. Kevin says flat rate. No one seems to value my labor. Yeah. Carl says, what's the best way to determine a good rate to charge for project or flat rate? That is good. Let me add that down here. This can be on this slide. Flat rate pricing. Okay. So for flat rate pricing, it gets a little complicated. You need to figure out what your break-even point is and then add on to that. So your break-even point is what is the rate you can do it for where you're neither losing nor making money. And that is going to be based on the cost of doing business and your taxes and everything, really. Like all of your expenses subtracted from what you need to gross per year to pay all of your bills. Pay your rent or mortgage, put food on the table for your family, gas. Hopefully you don't have a sneaker addiction. That's very expensive. Excuse me. But like you need to take your gross, subtract your cost, and that's your net, and then figure out how the project fits into that. How many projects are you going to do in a month or a week or a year? And then do the math on that. I can't do the math for you because everybody's different. I know for me, like I probably need to gross about 10 grand a month to be happy and pay for everything and not, be like drowning, like keep my head above the water. And that's to include taxes, expenses, everything. And it sounds like, for some people that probably sounds like, whoa, that's a lot. It's really not. When you subtract all the costs of everything, it's really not. It's like a livable wage and that's it. So count the flat rate pricing as like, this is really, it has to do with the profit and loss. So it'd be your gross minus your cost and then divided by your time. That's kind of the basic formula for it. So if it takes you a week, how much is a week worth to meet this part of the equation? And for each person, that's going to be different. What are your thoughts on charging a day rate versus a flat project rate? Is it based on the project? Yeah, it's all based on the project. Tiziano says, does being in a union change the base hourly flat rate? I would say yes. If you're in the union, you basically proven yourself and you're paying for union dues. So you can, on indie stuff, ask for a higher rate because there's also like a little bit of a, you're getting union talent for this rate. So you can charge more. JMLZY, I don't know how to pronounce that, but I'm just starting out in the industry and I'm already finding it very challenging. I've been asked to work on a 70-minute film and payment wasn't even mentioned. I would say don't run from that or bring it up, broach the subject, say, yeah, this is a great film. Really excited to work on it. But how much money you got? That kind of thing. Don't say it like that, but like, Ask them what their post-production budget is, their audio post-production budget, or if you're doing video, whatever you're doing, ask them how much do you have in your budget for this? And there's like a saying that whoever says the first number loses, make them lose. If they say, well, we've only got $10,000, then it's like, well, okay, I can do that. It's a little less than I would normally charge, but I can do that. Mike says, what are your thoughts? Oh, sorry, lost my place. Do you ask for advance payment? For clients that I haven't worked with, sometimes, generally, they come to me based on a recommendation, or I have vetted them. Like, they're not complete strangers. Sometimes I'll just trust people because I'm a very trusting person. But I've been burned by that once. Only one time. I've been doing this since 2008, and I've been burned by it one time. So if you find people are not paying, start charging half up front. That's kind of a standard thing. You can do thirds. You can do a third up front, a third at the halfway point of the project, and the final third at the end. For repeat clients, I just say, pay me when we're done, and that's it. Good questions. What are your thoughts on charging a day rate versus a flat project rate? Well, I like flat or project rates. Day rate is fine, but I want to get people out of the mindset of valuing me for my labor. I don't want them to value my output of time. I want them to value the output of me, like the finished product. Like if somebody was buying a beautiful chainsaw sculpture, one of those chainsaw bears where it's a log carved into a bear with a little husky or steel chainsaw, I want them to value the bear, not the time I put into making the bear, because the bear is the product. It's not my time. My time is not a product. My time is a way to get the product. So I want my time to be compensated for, but I want the value to be in the finished product. Does that make sense? How do you approach if you need to purchase something halfway through the project after you've given the price, a plugin, sound effects, music license? That's a good question, Mike. If it's a need, like for example, there was an indie film and they had a 1989 Ford LTD, which is a station wagon. And I just didn't have it. Like, this car was in the movie, like 30, 40 minutes of the movie. There's scenes in it. It's like a character in the film. I don't have enough 351 Windsor V8 sounds in my library for this thing. So I told him, like, hey, I'd really like to buy this pole position library. It's a 1990 Ford LTD. It's got the right engine sound. It's got all the Foley stuff. It's $250. Can you guys, is this an expense you guys can handle? They're like, yeah, this car is really important. Just get it, put it on your invoice. So then I charged them for it, and I got to keep the sound effects. So you can charge them for that. The other thing is, it's a write-off if you pay for it. If you're running a business and you need something, buy it. That lowers your tax burden, and you get to keep it. And over time, the cost of it is amortized based on the other work you get. So sound effects, great investment. Plugins, great investment to a certain point. Monitors, like ergonomic stuff, Kensington trackball, this kind of deal to keep your wrist and hands happy. All that stuff is really good to have. And it's a good investment. So I'd say go for it. Ask them if they'll pay for it, but if not, just use it as a write-off. Good question. Should I qualify that I charge a flat rate when I edit, but my production, I should qualify that I charge a flat rate when my production work is always day rate plus package. Yeah, that's pretty common. That's how production works. It's based on a day, because Kevin, just like I do, there's times where they go over. They're like, oh, we just need one more day of pickups, but we need sound for them. Can you stay an extra couple days? Like, yes, but it's going to cost you $1,500 a day. So day rates are kind of DPs. Some DPs I know do flat rates, but generally production is day rates. Brandon Wells says, do you use past recently completed work as an indicator to client why you charge what you charge? yesterday's price is not today's price kind of thing. Yes, you can also use things like inflation. I've had to tell people that. I've had a client come back to me, 5 years, 6 years, 8 years after the last time I worked with them. And they're like, well, last time you only charged us $400 for this. And I said, yeah, that was in 2016. So it's a lot of time has passed. Inflation has happened. My skills have increased. I've spent more money on gear. So I understand that's what you used to pay, but here's where I'm at in my career now. And you're getting this level of talent versus, the young pup that I was back then. So good question. All right, back to the slides real quick. Gross versus net. You guys know what gross and net are? Hopefully you do. So gross is all the money you're making, every dollar, every cent that comes in, every fraction of a cent that comes in. And the net is what you actually keep. So I've found this with contractor friends, that I'll ask them at the end of the year, like, hey, how'd you do this year? And they're like, oh, I did really good, dude. I made 150 grand. It's like, okay, so was that your gross or your net? And then they'll look at their books and be like, oh yeah, it was 150 grand, but I spent 80 grand in materials. So you made 70, which is fine. But like, you have to subtract your expenses to figure out what you're actually making. And that's why the rate you charge may seem ridiculous to people. $125 an hour to mix? Are you insane? Are you driving a Porsche? Like, do you have a mansion that you live in? No, but I have to take away taxes, my Pro Tools subscription, my gear, my facility rent or overhead. If it's a home studio, that's deductible. That's part of what you're paying for the place you're living. So yeah, I understand it may seem like a high rate to you, but that's because this number is still very low. I might be grossing $125 an hour or $50 an hour. But if you take away 40 to 50% of that, that's what you're actually making. And generally, that's kind of the rule, is like 40 to 50% of what you're charging is what you actually keep. So keep that in mind when you're pricing stuff. That is something a lot of people don't understand. And that's where they get in trouble. And that's why at the end of the year, they're like, how come I don't have more money in my account? Cost of doing business, which is the next slide. So how much does it cost to open up shop? How much does it cost to maintain your business? What do you have to pay for? What are some things you want to pay for, but maybe you don't have, you're not sure if you can. So these are all things that really, they're kind of hidden costs. So we all, most of us anyways, pay for software. If you're on DaVinci, you just pay once, which is kind of nice. But Pro Tools, it's like, anywhere from $50 to $100 a month. You got plugins. Some of them are on subscription models. You've got hardware. You have your interface, your speakers, your monitors, your keyboard, your control surface, your audio interface, cables, everything down to the little headphone adapters. Let me see if I can find one that go on your headphones. This is a cost of doing business here. I don't know how many of those I lose in a year, but it's embarrassing. So you have a lot of expenses, and if you're not tracking them, you just aren't going to know. And you're going to look at the end of the month and be like, I don't understand. I made 15 grand this month. How come there's not more in my account? It's because those little vampires have sucked all the money out of your profit. So cost of doing business. In retail, we would call this the cost of goods sold, COGS. But in a service-based business, it's cost of doing business. You also have things like insurance, utilities, internet. If you do marketing, I don't do YouTube, I guess, would be marketing. I do have a website, cloud storage, Dropbox, Google Drive, Frame.io, WeTransfer, all that stuff is a cost of doing business. So this is an important number to know. What is your daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly cost of doing business? So that is crucial. Okay. Joe Gaio just joined as a member. So welcome, Joe. If you have a hard time accessing the Discord, it should pop up as soon as you join with a link, but let me know and I will get you a link. Simon says on the net, you have to have like 45% of the gross. So I think you're saying the net should be 45% of the gross, or you need to subtract 45%. Because what I was saying is 40 to 50% of the gross is gone. And that gives you the net. Generally, I mean, it can be less, it can be more. Okay, so tools of the trade. I use QuickBooks, but there's other options. There's FreshBooks, there's Wave, there's a bunch of other ones. Oh, Simon says the taxes here in Montreal are 55%. Simon, all you guys need to do is secede and join the United States. I don't know if you heard, but the USA is looking for a 51st state, and Canada would be an excellent candidate. So I can send you an American flag to fly. You have to give up French. I'm sorry about that. There's some history with the French that I won't talk about. So if you would like to lower your taxes, then maybe consider joining the United States. Tools of the trade. Invoicing, PayPal, Stripe. So many options. You can do direct bank transfer. You can have them mail you a check. Contract templates. This is something I don't really do great at. I've got some contract templates, but I don't always use them. It's smart legally. I'm not going to give you legal advice, but legally having a lawyer created template for your business for a contract is probably smart. It's called a CYA, cover your type of thing. But I also know the emails and text serve as viable contracts based on, like different court findings. Again, not a lawyer, don't take legal advice, but a simple email, something in writing that's not a phone call, serves as a, here's the money, here's the service, agreed on both sides, then you're covered as far as there's your contract. It's a handshake contract, but get a legal one from a lawyer if you're concerned about that. Like I said, I've only had one two. Okay, that's a good story to tell, actually. If you guys want me to tell you it's not an LA story, but it's a production nightmare story, I can get into that. We'll save that for a little bit later. Yeah, Google. Oh yeah, this is a good one. I used to use this instead of QuickBooks. I just use Google Sheets for my ledger. Simple profit and loss. You can do a simple spreadsheet. I did that for years and it was fine. Yeah. So Kevin says he spent almost 10 grand in expendables. Oh yeah. For production. Yeah. That gets you. Invoicing and payments. Always send a written invoice. It could be a simple one you created in like Google Sheets or whatever, or it could be sent from QuickBooks. Make sure you figure out your terms. Some commercials are actually net 60. Some are payable on delivery or due on receipt. POD, not the 90s quasi-religious rock band. Deposit upfront, you could do that. Yeah, for new clients, that's something like probably pretty smart. It gets them on the hook, kind of limits their ability to just run away from you because they've got money invested. And that's pretty smart. We have another member that just joined, Ricardo. Oh man, this might be Brazil. This might be Portuguese. Voivoda. Correct me if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I did go to Brazil one time, but I didn't pick up a ton of Portuguese until I started having a drinking contest. Accept multiple payment methods. This is really smart. If you accept credit card or debit card payments, you'll get paid way faster than check or wire transfer. Taxes. This is going to vary. Whoa, this is going to vary based on Italy. Okay, cool. This is going to vary based on where you're at. Like Simon said, in Montreal, where they speak French, they probably have more taxes than we do in the free United States of America. We're actually not free. We have like property taxes and sales tax and stuff. But you got to figure out what your tax burden is. It's probably going to be between 30 to 60%. It's kind of like, I think around the world, the range. Self-employment tax, we have this in the US. you can file quarterly. I've done that many years. Other years I've waited to the end and just paid the penalty. You have a lot of deductions. Make sure you track all your deductions, your gear, your subcontractors, your travel, even things like union memberships, software expenses, all that stuff. And keep your business and personal accounts separate. When I first started out, I did not do this. I just had a checking account and I dumped all my money in there. Makes it really hard to track stuff, and the IRS does not like that. Profit and loss. We kind of touched on this a little bit earlier. Really, this slide should probably be, I probably should have put this up here. This is a great kind of vital check, just like you would get your vitals taken at the doctor for your business to tell you the health of your business, how much you're actually making or losing. And you can look up on Google how to make one of these, but it's basically just that shows revenue, expenses, and then expenses subtracted from the revenue equals profit. This is a revenue minus expenses equals profit. So this tells you if you're profitable. It will help set next year's rates, because if you're not making enough profit, raise your rates. If you're making good profit, I would suggest investing the money in your business or in a Roth IRA or something to set you up for when you're too old to do it anymore. And then QuickBooks or other accounting software you just click a button and it shows you the profit and loss. Growth strategies. Great topic. Raise rates as your experience grows. So start out when you're just starting out, maybe you're college or a couple years out of college, or you've done maybe 2 or 3 projects. Just be like a hungry toddler and just be snacking all the time. Take as much work as you can. Don't charge too much. Really get the experience, because people are paying you to learn. They're paying you to raise your rates later. It's a paid college education that you're getting. I would say look at the first 2 to 5 years of your career as a paid bachelor's or master's or PhD. Take everything you can. If the pay sucks, just take it. Just knuckle down and take it, and know that in 5 years you can charge a lot more. Really just go for volume at that point. Then you get to the second stage of your career, which is where you're a professional. You're not seasoned yet, but you're a professional that can demand professional rates. That's where you start bumping your pay up. And then eventually you get to the third phase of your career, which is like a plateau, where like you're charging industry standard rates. You really don't need to charge more at that point. And you can actually start throttling back on the number of projects you take, which is a great place to be. Then you get to spend time with your family, or making a YouTube channel, or doing gardening, or traveling, because you're making enough on each project that you can just cool your jets a little bit and kind of coast to the finish, but more of just like maintain a good work-life balance. That climb up is going to be all work. If you want to make this a living, it's going to be all work. You're going to have to grind. It is the early part of the video game where you are just grinding out XP, you're clearing dungeons, you're collecting dog tags, and you're just going for, full throttle all the time to get up the hill. And then once you get to the top, you can let off the gas a little bit. So just know that the first part of your career is going to be tough if you want to make it. So at the early part, be aggressive with your pricing. Don't be afraid to undercut people within a certain range, and then work on building your experience. And the other thing is specialize. If you want to work on big projects, like stuff that's going to theaters or going to TV or streaming or whatever, not just your friends, Amazon Prime, Mumblecore, 2 people talking in an apartment for 95 minutes, but like real projects, you need to specialize. Specialize in dialogue, or specialize in mixing, or podcasts, or, radio spots, commercial spots. Figure out what your lane is and stick to it, because the more you try to diversify your skills, the less people are going to want to pay you. People want a specialist. They want a sniper. They want somebody who can get in, get out, get it done, and do a great job. They don't want somebody who's going to just languish on, you know, an indie film for 2 months, make $10,000, and like that's their career. Those people they're grinding their whole lives. They never get to that plateau point. They are always going uphill. It's snowing on them. They got no shoes on. It's really tough. And building repeat client base. The best clients you have, make them happy. You know, that doesn't mean undercharge them and give them discounts. It means make sure you have a client base that is very happy with your work. They kind of become friends almost, but they pay you good. They pay you on time. They value. And build your business around a couple of those. You know, it's a lot easier to have like 3 or 4 really solid clients who always pay you good. They don't grind you to dust. And you have enough of them where when one slows down, the other ones can kind of make up for it. That is a better strategy than having like 100 tiny clients where you're like a Walmart and you're just relying on volume. That's an easy way to get burnt out. And speaking of getting burnt out, when your workload increases and the workload is higher than your bandwidth, have some people that you can outsource stuff to. This is a thing I struggle with. It is so hard for me to find somebody I can trust. And I would love it to be with some of you guys. That's one of the reasons I made this channel, was I figured if I show people how I do stuff, eventually they'll get sharp enough where I can start hiring them. Because there's times where I get too much work and I don't want to say no, but I also don't have enough time. So what do? Well, I can hire somebody, I can pay a subcontractor, or I can say, you know what, this week I'm working 100 hours and just, sorry, family, I'm going to be in my studio a lot. That's not great. That's not a great place to be. So don't be afraid to outsource. Have some collaborators you trust that you can, task with things. You're going to have to manage that a little bit and kind of oversee them. But if you can do this, then you'll be able to get more business, you'll make more money, and it does cost more. The cost of doing business goes up with this, but you can take on more work. So key takeaways: price for profit, not just survival. Track every expense, use the right tools, and don't undercut yourself. So we kind of did this through this slideshow, but let's just open it up to questions now, and I will read them and answer them. I'll go back through the comments right now and just see kind of what we've got. Mike says, how do you go after the clients that don't pay? Well, with social media, it's become a lot easier, Mike. And you can blast them on Facebook, MySpace, Friendster, whatever you got, it's going to burn the bridge. You're going to be not probably able to have them as clients anymore. But if you put them on blast, there's a better chance they'll pay. You can get a lawyer involved. You can pay a lawyer like $250 an hour to write you a nasty email saying, "Hey, I'm such and such lawyer. You have 30 days to pay this." Or you could have a friend pretend to be a lawyer. You can call them. Be the squeaky wheel that gets the grease. Like, be a thorn in their side until they pay. The other thing you can do is withhold files. Unfortunately, if you've already given them the files, the deliverables, whatever it is, audio, video, footage, you can't really do that. But going after them on social media, calling them, and also calling friends of theirs, because they're not going to pick up. So pick up your phone. All right, let's see. Who does George know? George knows Larry. Larry, I don't know if you know this, but George is like skipping out on paying me. So is that somebody you really want to work with? Yeah. Do you mind sending them a text? And then they'll send a text to, I forget if it was George or Larry. Hey, why haven't you paid Tom yet? Once they see like, oh no, my friends and family are hearing about this, they'll pay you. They probably won't work with you again, but you'll get the money. So good question. Okay, good. James, great name. just joined. Welcome to the channel. Kevin says, I'm trying to specialize in dialogue more now. I'm starting to feel more comfortable in that, and I actually enjoy that. Good. That's great. Any other questions? If not, I can tell you guys this. The story about, okay, a production nightmare of not getting paid. You guys want me, it'll take me about 5 to 7 minutes to tell the story. So I'll let you guys pick. Do you want me to babble on about an interesting shoot I had, a low budget nightmare of a shoot, or I can just go to the closing of this and we can just wrap it up early. So I'll let you guys pick, story or end the stream. I could go either way. Mike says, I had a situation where I didn't trust the director and added a watermark. Ooh, that's good. Would you be able to make the slides available for members? Yes, I will do that. This is awesome. I'll try to do more slides because it's kind of like a study guide. So that can be an added thing that members get. You guys will get my outlines and slides. So I will post this on the Discord, the members only Discord. We have 2 votes for story time. So here we go. Time to stroke my own ego. Okay, so early in my career, I was 50-50 production sound and post-production. Actually, it was like 40 production, 40 post, and then 20% was recording hip hop and R&B singers. I ran a vocal studio where we'd make beats with MPCs. Super interesting. I have hundreds of stories about that time, even with famous rappers that came through the studio. But this is focused on a film. Do I want to say the name of the film? Why not? It was a really low budget film. I don't even know if it ever came out. It was called The Legend of Black Annie, shot in West Virginia. This would have been around 2010 or 12, somewhere around there. And I had worked with these filmmakers before. Barracuda, shot in Los Angeles. Did we go somewhere else for that? And Louisiana. Yes, we shot it in LA and Louisiana, so 2 LAs. So I knew these people. It was a little bit kind of shady, but like they were really nice guys. They were men's men, we got, there was drinking on set, and not on set, after we'd wrap, there'd be beer and other stuff that I wasn't involved in. So it was the typical indie party, atmosphere. So they said, hey, we got a horror film in West Virginia. Can you come out for it? At the time I was, pretty broke. Just so you know, like all this money talk, I had to learn myself. I didn't come from money. I grew up so poor. I would eat bread sandwiches and I had those iron-on patches on my jeans, like eating not real cheese. Like real cheese was a new thing for me. All the vegetables were canned. Like I came basically from the gutter, and I know I can go right back there. It's not going to take much to put me back in the gutter. So all this money talk isn't coming from like, ooh, I come from a rich family. I come from the very bottom, like, super down there, and have just learned this through doing it. So at the time I was in that stage where I was like, I just need money coming in. Yes, I would love to do this film. Did they drive? No, they flew me out. There was a hotel, and immediately there was issues. Like we landed, there was a meeting. We had done like one day, we did some establishing shots or whatever, and then there was a problem. There was drama on set, and they had an all hands on deck meeting in the producer's hotel room. And it was like basically an airing of grievances between the DP and the producers. And the DP ended up in tears, grown man, not sobbing, but tears coming down. He was so mad. He called people unprofessional, and they called them. They quit the meeting. The next day, they're like, "Hey, that DP's off the project. We need to get somebody out here to replace him. It's going to take about a week. So you guys just sit tight for a week here in West Virginia. We'll pay for your hotel rooms." And that was the first sign, like, oh shoot, this is going to be one of those. So for a week, we were just hanging out in rural West Virginia, basically biding our time. this DP that I knew from the previous film got hired. He drove out from Texas with his trailer. And so we started, the filming was going as kind of we figured. There was parties every night. There was, how detailed do I want to get? There was interesting stuff going on with with people. It was like reality TV level stuff around the shoot. And I was thinking, like, they're spending a lot of money on stuff. They're putting everybody up in hotel. And it seems like the money's going pretty fast. Like there's things that they're spending money on that is eating into probably what they can pay the crew. So we go through you know what? This is good. I'll just be honest, because they never paid me. So we finished the shoot. The shoot goes way longer than it was supposed to. It was like Thanksgiving by the time we got, done. And they're like, okay, well, we're wrapped on sound. We got a couple establishing and inserts to do, but Tom, you can go home. We'll get you right to the airport. And I was like, that's great. It'd be good to get a check before I go home. So I got some money, because I had gotten no money at this point. At least that's what I remember. I could be wrong, but I was like, I need something. Here's the audio files. Give me, whatever, like pay me. Cause I've been here. It was like 5 weeks at that point. They're like, okay, well, we can only pay you, half right now. And we fired the other DP. We had to get this other guy out. So that ate into things. There's been some overages. Like, yeah, I know the overages. I saw those ladies of the night walking into your room. I saw the cases of booze showing up. I know where this money's going. And they're like, well, just here's half. Here's a check, a personal check for half. And I was like, well, it's something. So I took that home. It didn't bounce. It went into my account. And then I waited, because I invoiced them for the other half, and I waited, and it got to the end of the invoice, like 30 days or whatever. And I called them, didn't pick up the phone, emailed them, didn't respond back to the email. So I did what I talked about, which is I started going to their friends. Hey, I can't get a hold of this guy. Do you know what's going on? And I'm sure that comment got back to them, because I got I think a phone call from one of the producers, and he was like, hey, I know we haven't paid you. We haven't paid you what we owed you, but with the overages and everything, like, we're just out of money. Like, we're out. So I can give you like $500 and that's it. And we're going to be good. And I was like, you know what? No, I want you to pay me the full amount, because I was there for longer than I thought I would. It was a rough shoot. I mean, there was like loaded weapons on set, and there was some interesting stuff going on that was kind of like not super professional. Like, this is what we talked about. You paying me, you need to pay me. And they didn't. They ghosted me. And I bugged them a couple more times. And then eventually I was like, this is just an expensive lesson for me. I put my time in there. I didn't get paid the full amount, and I'm never going to do that again. Like, it's going to be with people I trust. When stuff starts going sideways, I'm going to dig my feet in, and I'm going to be like, you know what? You got to pay me up front now. Like, I'll never be in that situation again. And I didn't. I learned my lesson from that. So that was the last time I worked with them. They never ended up paying me. I think the movie took like 5 years to come out. I don't even know if it's out. You can probably find it on YouTube or something. But yeah, there was so many crazy things happening. I remember another thing that happened on that shoot. This will be the last. This is going long. We're in West Virginia. I'm starting to question where the money's coming from. It's starting to snow when we're shooting. Like, things are getting bad. Like, it's just, I just want to be home at this point. And the crew is upset. Like, the crew is down. I have split my time as sound, and now I'm helping the gaffers. Like, I'm lugging 4Ks up the hill and setting combo stands, and like, I learned a lot about lighting on that in on this so that we can get done. It was non-union, super small crew. So it's like, you know what? I'll learn how to light, and I'll help them get through stuff. So we were out shooting in the snow. Snow's hitting this 4K. You can hear it sizzling on the housing of it. And this, like, I think it was a Cadillac pulls up, and it's like a white Cadillac, super tinted, got really nice rims. and it just stops. And this guy steps out. He's got a fur coat. He pulls a flask out of his fur coat, takes a sip, and walks over to me. He says, "Hey, Boykin, come over this car. Let's have a chat." He sat, I sat next to him. He's got the engine running, so the heater's on because it's like 25 degrees out. He's like, "You want some of this?" And I like, "Yeah, man." So I take a drink, and he's like, "I hear there's some problems with the shoot. What's going on? I just want to hear it from somebody straight up." So I was like, I told him kind of what was going on. He's like, "Okay, bet. I'm going to handle this. Thank you for your time. You can get back to work now." After I talked to him, things did get better on the set. I don't know who this guy was. He never told me his name. Judging by the way he acted, the few words he said, he might have been where the money came from for the shoot. I would guess he was, because like it was a real fur coat. The car was very nice. And he was like he didn't make me feel threatened or anything. It was just like, "Hey, man to man, what's going on?" But like, that was another sign, like, I wonder where this money for this movie is coming from. Probably from that guy, I would guess. The way he was like executive producer type, but he didn't say his name or anything like that. So yeah, so stay away from those shoots, because they're just not, maybe they're worth it if you're like 22, 23 years old, but they're just not worth the time. And maybe the memories are worth it. Like it was probably like being, on a rock band, like as a roadie or something, like just the crazy things I saw. And luckily I wasn't a part of it, but I did get to witness it firsthand. That was kind of the first time I was like, you know what? I don't think I want to do production anymore. I think I want to just do post, because post is not crazy like that. Yeah. So, we did the Q&A, we did closing. Let me see if there's any. I saw maybe Carl had a question here. Is it good to have different project flat rates? Yeah, that's good. It's good. It's great. Carl, that is an excellent question. Again, we're all praying for your ankle to feel better. So if you're working on a film, have a different rate than a podcast. Podcast audiobooks are going to be lower. Film is going to be probably the top, and then music production can be all over the place. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So writing off studio space, you can totally do that. And I will make the slides available for the members in the Discord. Thank you guys for your patience with my long-winded story and this kind of dry topic. So yeah, you guys have been great. The questions have been really nice. And I think I've covered all I need to cover. So I will sign off. But before I do, just a quick reminder, because it does help it helps me make time for the channel. If you want Cedar, pick it up. The other thing you could do is on my website, which is forlow-digital.com. I've got some stuff you guys can buy to support the channel. You don't have to, but it does help. I made 2 plugins. These are for Pro Tools and DaVinci and Premiere and pretty much everything. They work on PC and Mac. AutoComp, you've been listening to this entire stream on my microphone channel. This is an automatic compressor, which you can read about. This is a plugin I'm super proud of because it's a fully automatic compressor with automatic makeup gain and a lift control and a safety limiter. I'm just so... This was a great thing to work on when work was slow, and it helps support my channel. So if you want a plugin or a template, those are on my website. And if not, that's totally fine too. I appreciate everybody who watches my channel, subscribes. Members obviously are like the biggest supporters. I don't have a Patreon or anything like that. But thank you guys for just watching my stuff and your support. And I'm looking forward to doing more videos. I'll do another live stream next week. I am just super busy with work, so I've kind of stopped doing the edited videos because they take so much time. So thank you guys, and I will get back to those as soon as work slows down, which should be, I would say, in like a couple weeks, because I'm double booked for the next couple weeks. So yeah, take care. Make sure you make your business profitable when you're making pricing decisions, whether or not you want to buy that new AI noise reduction plugin or pay for whatever. Think, is my business profitable? If it's not profitable, how can I make it profitable? And more importantly, how can you sustain it for the duration of your career? So think about those things. And until next week, I'll see you then. Take care.